Hello, all you lovely people. It's Lisa Jane here, and today I'm feeling a little bit energized. I'm feeling like, I really need to get this message across to you, and how do I get it across to you? And most of the time I'm kind of quite calm and centered, and even when I'm wacky and wild at home with my kitties, I'm still calm in the center. But today I feel a bubbling, right? Because there's a number of things that have come through over the past few years for me, which have kind of been general themes that led me to do this work in the first place. And obviously, there's a number of videos that I've made where I've needed to get messages out to you, and you can hear even my voice is going a little bit faster than usual because the message feels like quite urgent. There's a lot of stuff going on, right? A lot of energies. New moon coming up on Sunday, I think, and then there's a full moon, like a really powerful full blue moon, which I think is called Wesak, which is, obviously a celebration in the northern hemisphere on the 18th of May, thereabouts. I think on both of those occasions I'm going to offer a meditation and put it on my SoundCloud. But first I want to ask how you're all doing, and I hope you're well and that you're managing to survive and how stay connected to your inner sense when there is so much going on outside, so much energy, and we kind of seem to be pulsing right from where we go inward and then we get pulled outward and then we go inward again and get pulled outward. So it's kind of like the symbolism for me at the moment is a bit of an accordion. Right, so we're being squashed and expanded and squashed and expanded, and a lot of the time you're like, WTF, what is going on? And I get a lot of my clients kind of saying, how do I cope with this energy? How do I cope with these changes? And I suppose that's a big question, is what are the practical tools? Because one thing with my work is that I've always wanted to be able to offer practical guidance. Whilst there are so many people doing the Pleiadian, the Arcturian, the kind of the channeling of the archangels, and all of that is beautiful. For me, I think my approach has been very much more a practical one, where I can take a complex subject and really put it in simple terms. And that goes, for my energy healings and the readings that I offer clients, or those clients that come to see me will know that my symbolism is quite powerful in the sense that it cuts to the chase. It goes to the very important issue that it is that you need to know in order to shift. Sometimes we get practical guidance about how to make those shifts, and sometimes it's a case of you kind of just learning instinctively and intuitively as you walk your path. So what is the message that I want to get across to you today? Well, it relates to a sentence, or in fact not a sentence, it is a powerful sentence, but it's 2 words that came to me during a meditation when I was finishing off my healing diploma. I did an international certificate in energy healing through a school of healing in the UK, based here in Cape Town, and also based in the UK. And we kind of wrapped up the 2-year session with a short meditation. And those 2 words have really stuck with me because I wasn't quite sure what I would do when I finished my healing. I was still working full time. I was in IT. I'd been in IT corporate for 24 years, but I'd always known that there was this spiritual teacher inside of me, this healer. None of the usual careers kind of resonated for me. And so I found my way, making a living and generally walking the path of any regular citizen on this planet. Quite mundane and boring, actually. And I suppose that's really what I want to talk about, is the mundane, the boring, the practical, because that's where the magic lies. So anyway, where was I? I'm rambling a bit, and I'm sorry, I need to keep it short because I know a lot of you are busy, and so I want to get the message across. So those 2 words, and that have fundamentally guided my path, my journey over the last 4 years, since I jumped off the cliff of corporate and started my own healing practice. And from there, my work has just grown in terms of what it is I offer, what I feel guided to offer. But I think the underlying message, or the underlying heartbeat, the underlying impulse, the underlying passion within me that led me to this work is that we all have the ability to connect to our innermost being. We all have the ability to connect to our higher self, and we all have the ability to what most people will call follow our soul's path. It's just a matter of how you find your way and how you get there. I'm not there in terms of being able to give you the 12 steps, or this is the perfect way to get to your higher self, to bring in your soul, to be the awakened being that you wish to be. I think we are all still learning. But for me, the big thing, and these two words that have been part of my life and are still part, and I'm still walking the path trying to understand them, is be source. In other words, be that which is creation. The words at the beginning of this year were back to nature. Another word that has kind of really been quite powerful in my own healing work during the last 12 to 18 months is embodiment. And what I believe all of these words kind of allay themselves to is that we really just have to go back to being fundamentally basic human beings, without all the trimmings and the rituals and the practices and the beliefs and all of that stuff. And I'm not saying, please, God, don't believe in anything. Belief is the utmost importance when we're walking this path of trying to find our authentic self and our unique vibration. But the belief is quite simple. And I suppose that's also the point with the words and the messages that I receive, is that I'm essentially trying to take a very complicated situation, a series of messages, guidance in terms of this field of consciousness and the universe that we find ourselves in, and put it into a simplistic truth for each and every individual. Because that is where we find ourselves, that each and every individual has to find their own truth, their own inner way. And so it is no longer the case where one global religion or one global belief will actually cater for everyone's needs. And in fact, if you want my honest opinion, religion is going to disappear in the next while too, as are many societal structures, as is education in its formal sense, as are the financial institutions. Everything is moving and shaking. Everything is crumbling in order to make way for a very basic, simplistic truth. And that is that we really just have to go back to being human beings who exist together on this planet in a place of coherent connection and compassion for one another. It's actually quite simple, isn't it? However, we are God's greatest experiment in distraction. We have been given all of these distractions, and we live with continual distractions in this modern day we find ourselves, with the technology and the change and the politics and the, I could go on and on. They are all distractions that are moving us away from actually taking time to get to know ourselves. And the only way we can get to know ourselves is to really commit and be dedicated to self-time, to solitude, to quiet time, to self-reflection, to contemplation, to those things that in the old days the mystics and the medieval monks, nuns, etc. had the capacity to do because they had the time. We don't have the time anymore. And on that note, now is the time to take action, right? We don't have the time, but now is the time. We don't need to remove ourselves. It might be helpful to go on a retreat or a workshop or a time away. But what we really need to do is hone our skills to live in amongst this chaos we find ourselves, but to hold our connection to a calmness and a peace that is the source vibration we all hold and we are all connected to. It is the vibration that Earth in its natural state, without having humans interfere there, holds. Every flock of birds holds, every forest of trees holds, every shoal of fish holds. The coherent connection to one another, where they hear each other, where they work together as a community, where they really connect with one another on a level that goes beyond the mind and the logic. And of course, us humans have been given this mind that actually can drive us crazy. And it's my fundamental belief that actually what we should be teaching in schools is how to work with our mind, how our thoughts matter, how we do have a choice to change our thoughts, because a lot of people feel that they don't. They kind of let these thoughts run rampant in their minds. And actually, on that note, I must just remind, I'm going to do a video, I think, on psychic attack, because that's been coming in a lot with different people I'm seeing, and thought interference. So just pencil that down. Maybe next week I'll talk about that. But today, my passion, the message I want to get across is that now is the time to take the time to find that source that is you, that is uniquely you. And it doesn't mean you have to give up everything. You can actually find that in this so-called mundane, practical world. And that's where we need to find it. I still have all those practical things. I run around after children. I run my own business. I have a partner. I need to make supper. I need to organize logistics. My boys are writing matric this year. Get the forms in, the finalized, the payment for this deposits. So all kinds of daily activities that we find ourselves in and amongst. But we have to weave into that our soul, our spirit, our vibration, our source, by tuning into this very powerful center that I'm also going to be speaking more of, the heart center, which is becoming more and more prevalent in terms of the work I see with my clients. I'm seeing more and more people with their heart centers being opened by whatever situation outside. And sometimes it's just an internal thing, but a lot of the time it's an external trigger. How do we work with that? It's not that esoteric. It's not that out there. We really need to start looking at those practical things. And I hear you all asking, say, what is it, Lisa? What is it, Lisa Jane, that I need to do in order to do that? Well, let's look at the first steps. First step, give yourself the time to yourself. Make time each and every day to commit, even if it's 10 minutes, to standing somewhere, sitting somewhere, finding a corner of your home where you create a little altar, a little sacred space with a candle and a few sacred objects, whatever that object is to you, and just say, how's it? Hello. Good morning, Lisa Jane. How you doing, girlfriend? Right? Hello. Tap your heart. Touch your face. Tap your body. Because we need you to be there. We need you to connect, to be present, to your inner being. We need you. The world needs you, right? You are the seed through which the new world will be born. And that is a message that I put on my Facebook page yesterday when I was guided to write a little poem. So if you want to hear more about this topic, then let me know. And I hope I haven't been all over the place, because I suppose that's where my energy is today. A bit here, a bit there. Albeit that I'm centered and I'm here. I get a bit excited about things. I am a bit crazy. As my daughter who's studying psychology might tell me, Mom, we've given you all of these. You would fall under this category and this category, and you might even be labeled schizophrenic. And it's a good thing I love you, because otherwise we might have locked you away. That's quite funny. Which is another thing, sense of humor. We have to keep our sense of humor, people. We have to laugh at this craziness, and it doesn't detract from the seriousness of the situation. But we've got to laugh, right? So let's think about it. Be source. Right, be source. Connect. Look at your basic human nature as beautiful and magical, even with all its flaws. Take the time each day to connect to yourself sacredly, quietly, honoring that. Breathe. We will have another session about that. The breath is so important. And just find time for yourself. Find time for yourself. Because you know what? We've only been here in a very, very short blink of an eye. And in the greater scheme of things, well, we're just a little speck. But we need to make that speck count. And the more specks that find their light, the greater light we'll have on the planet. So, I think that's kind of all I want to say today, actually. If there's any comments or suggestions for more videos, for more content, let me know. I hope I have gathered up some energy to inspire you to take action, to take care of yourself, and know that you don't have to be, a guru. You don't have to be out there doing all these things. But you, as a basic, practical human being, have the potential to create a difference in the world by offering yourself time to connect and really tune in to the highest vibration and to let your light shine. So with that, I want to wish you a blessed Friday. Thank you for listening. Oh, my head's going a bit wild there, so I scratched my head, so I apologize for that. And I hope you find some benefit from this video, and please, please, please stay in touch with me. Have a look at my website and my Facebook page down below, and I'd really like to engage with you. It's quite interesting. I'm going to go off on a tangent again, but there's a lot of people overseas who are making YouTubes, Americans, UK, and people there generally comment. So I don't know, maybe mine isn't that interesting, which could possibly be the case, but it would be great to hear from you. Really, I'm available. I'm not sitting here behind the screen. I'm for you. I'm here to be of service for you. So thank you for listening to me, and share if you feel it was valuable. Like and subscribe if you would, you feel inspired to do that. And we will chat again next week. I don't know what day, because it depends on how busy my week is. I fit it in when I can, but I like to post one once a week. Much love to you all, and big hugs, and we will chat again soon. Bye.